in the front.
And there is seating across the hall if needed.
Can't hear them.
The seating across the hall, if anybody needs it, you can still hear the meeting. It will be available.
Yeah, you gotta pull your mic down or you get interference. For Mary. I'm up here. Just put it up so I can set my thing here. and
Yeah.
Forgot to pull it back down. Mary, you ready? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Delta Township Board meeting for September the 2nd. If you are able to stand and join us in the pledge, please do so.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Clark, will you please call the roll? That's what I did with the attendance. Trustee Mojica. Here. Trustee Lyman.
Here.
Trustee Cascarella.
Present.
Trustee Bowen.
Here.
Treasurer Fedowa.
Here.
Clerk Clark is present. Supervisor Brewer. Present. You have quorum. Thank you so much. We do not have any presentations at this time, so we are now on the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? So
I'm to, present, the agenda is presented tonight.
thank you. Is there support? It has been moved and supported. Any discussion by Josh Lyman, trustee Lyman? Any discussion?
I would like to request that item number 8 be removed and added for discussion.
Yes, we will move item 8B under the consent agenda
Okay,
and we'll move it down below the consent agenda.
all right, thank
So
you.
thank you, no problem. No problem. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. We are now down to our public hearings section. So we have two tonight. The first public hearing is on the supplemental resolution to establish the 2025 Public Safety Assessment District. So per the memo in your packet, for those of you who don't have a hard copy packet, it was certainly on the website and will remain there. This is a supplemental action to amend the district established on August 4th to include township businesses with industrial facilities tax exemptions that were not sent a notice. So at this time, we will have public comment. You will have 3 minutes to come to the podium and make your comment, but I'd like to remind you all that we welcome you and we love you making your public comment. Your comment should be directed to the board. That's who you're commenting to us. So please make your comments to us. And if the audience member could refrain from clapping, applauding, or any of that, we would appreciate it. That way, everybody has time to get their comments in. So is there anyone who would like to comment? And this, as I said, this public hearing is open. So is there anyone who would like to comment?
You want?
Yeah, just for the IFTs.
Just for the, yes, this is just for one. This is public hearing 1 of 2. So if anyone wants to make comment on this one, we will have another one that I'm sure others will want to comment on.
Supervisor.
Yes.
Just a point of clarification, so the audience understands the difference between these two public hearings. One is to establish a district,
Correct.
which is the entire township. And the second public hearing, which correlates with the first, is the actual assessment. So that's the imposition of the tax that's going to be before us. So they're two separate ones, but they are sort of joined together jointly. So a clarification for the audience in case you didn't understand the distinction between the two public hearing items. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Treasurer Fedowa. Would anyone like to come up and speak? You have 3 minutes to speak on this one, just this first one. Not seeing any movement, we will close that public hearing. And I need a motion to adopt the resolution. Is there such a motion?
Excuse me.
We've completed with that. I'm sorry. But you'll have an opportunity at the next one. Okay.
I move that
Trustee
the
Moore.
Delta Township Board adopt the supplemental resolution to establish the 2025 Public Safety Special Assessment District.
Is there support? Support. It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Madam Clerk?
Trustee Bowen,
Yes.
trustee Lyman,
Aye.
trustee Cascarilla,
Yes.
trustee Mohica,
Yes.
treasurer Peterwong.
Yes.
Clerk Clark is yes, supervisor Brewer,
Yes.
motion carries.
That motion carries. Thank you. So we are now going into our second public hearing. I am opening the second one, and this is a public hearing on resolution to set the 2025 Public Safety Special Assessment District Assessment Roll. I do want to mention that we did receive 8 formal letters before the start of the public comments. I want to share that with you. And they are in the packet and on the website for you to peruse. And we are going to have Courtney, our controller, is going to walk us through some information before we take public comment on this one. So Courtney, I turn it over to you.
Welcome. Evening. So I'm going to just review some of the items from the last one, but mostly what this presentation will be is some of the follow-up on the questions that were asked from the first public hearing. So how we got here, basically, the county had 2 millage proposals that failed. They passed in Delta Township, but they did fail countywide. So at that same time, our contract with them for police services came up and was due to expire at the end of September. So there were a few things that had kept our contract costs down with them, mostly the fact that they gave us a very large credit towards the service because they provided countywide police patrol. And because countywide patrol is not a required mandated service, they eliminated road patrol unless you pay for it. So now we do not have that $2.2 million credit anymore because it is not a mandated service. Technology needs have also changed, and we'll actually cover that in one of the frequently asked questions. We did negotiate, Delta deputies won't patrol outside of Delta Township except in exceptional emergencies. We did have a 15% support service fee that stayed the same. And then we're making an additional contribution to the county's unfunded pension liability, which will lower our costs for the next 10 years. And is something that we'll receive back plus interest. The good part about that is it will extend the county's liability payments, so it will lower them annually. In the packet, it's a little clear. I know it's small, but this is the side-by-side comparison of the two costs. So the cost did go up from about 4.4 million to about 8 million per year. So we had to find a way to pay for that. So we also had the bank drain project, which is about a $500,000 payment in 26 and will escalate to 700 in 2027. We had prepared for that. But what we had not prepared for, of course, was the contract for police services increasing by $3.5 million, which is an 18% increase in our operating expense.
Courtney, and just a reminder that the bank inter-county drain for everyone is not a township project. It's an inter-county drain. That the township was assessed a large assessment as well as many of our residents.
And we'll cover that too, because that's one of the FAQs. So 57% of our budget is wage related, 14% is the sheriff contract, and 8% is debt service, which are things that we can't get out of paying. So we propose the special assessment district as a way to pay for a portion of the increase. It doesn't fund the full amount of the increase. It funds about 2.7 million of it. So it's about 34% of the contract and 73% of the increase. So this has been a lengthy process. We had the first all the notices were mailed. We had the first public hearing. This is the second public hearing basically on the roll. The first one sets the district. The second one sets the cost. The average cost for residents is about $161. That's an annual payment that would be on the December tax bill. So it's once a year. So we wanted to go through, I'm not going to read this stuff verbatim. It is in the packet, and these have been up on the township website on our public safety page. These are some of the questions people asked at the last meeting. It's a little bit tough because we just are one-sided in our communication. So this first one was about IT. One of the later commenters said that, IT costs have gone down in the past year. So why are our costs going up? And so we are not paying for the whole county IT department, but we are paying an administrative fee that is going towards IT expenses. We also have a line item for more specific expenses for hardware and software. The 15% goes to the county staff who will actually be providing the service. IT has gotten cheaper in some respects, perhaps for the cost of an individual laptop, but what is not is software as a service. Most of our software has subscriptions that we pay for annually. They also have a lot of data storage. They have to be able to store body cam footage, et cetera. They have to be able to manipulate that footage for FOIA purposes. They have to train people on new technologies. They have, in-car cameras, body cameras, laptops. So there's a lot of IT costs that the township historically has not paid for that we will now pay for as part of this contract. So this was a question about taxes going up. So after proposal A, taxable value of all homes in Michigan that don't have a transfer of ownership go up either the 5% or the rate of inflation, whichever is lower each year. So since 2020, those are the statewide value increases. There were the two large 5% due to inflation. This year it was 3.1. I believe next year, I think it's 2.8 to 3% for 26. So despite the fact that property values have risen way more than these percentages, the amount that the home is taxed on is capped as long as you don't move. Taxes also increased due to voted millages and special assessments. Another question we got was about taxes going up by a larger percentage, and that is usually due to an uncapping. So when a home is purchased, the value uncaps to approximately half of the market value of the home. And that can cause a significant increase. If someone has lived in their home for 40 years and then someone new moves into it, the value goes up to half the market value. And that can be very significant. We have a lot of very unfortunate phone calls with people that this happens to, and no one tells them it's going to happen. But this is no matter where you are in the state of Michigan, that's just a function of proposal A. Once your value is uncapped, it does reset. The cap then only can go up 5% of the rate of inflation. Another question was about the bank drain. As Manager Reed mentioned, why did we do that project if there wasn't enough funding for police? We did not do that project. It was 55 residents of the Bank Intercounty Drainage District who started that project. We received a $12.9 million assessment for that project. We used $5 million of reserves to pay that down. So we still are making payments now on the remaining balance. So pathways, we don't need pathways. Why can't we put all the money towards this? So we have significantly scaled back plans for any future park and pathway projects. That's basically what I've been working on for the past month is the budget that will be presented September 15th. What we've been doing recently were actually grants that were submitted back in 2019 and 2020. And the problem with not accepting a grant that you've been awarded is then they knock points off the next time that you go to get it. So I really don't want that to be something that we turn to because it will hurt us in the future. The St. Joe pathway was bond funded water main pathway project, and that was planned for many, many years because of the condition of the water main. And it just made sense to do the pathway at the same time because it was already torn up. So the only things we really have left are Hawk Meadow, which is on the agenda tonight. That was a 2019 grant application. And then partnering with the road commission because they're redoing the Webster Road Bridge. And that's a once in a generation opportunity to add, they're widening the bridge. And then we're doing a connector path between Delta Mills and Hawk Meadow. The majority of that is grant funded. Our participation is mostly with the bridge. We have a TAP grant and a trust fund grant to complete the path. So the township has gotten millions and millions and millions of dollars grants that have paid for a lot of this work, but there typically is a match. But next year, the only thing we have path-wise is the connection, is the Webster Road Bridge. Why did we build the sheriff's substation if we knew this was gonna happen? We didn't know this was gonna happen is probably one of the easier things. We did not know that about the county's financial situation was as dire as it turned out to be. So we first started plans to build a substation actually in 2006, and that was stopped by the crash in 2008. We did a facility study in 2019. And that's what led to us doing the substation. So we had started planning this and did the ballot stuff back in 2021, 22. So this was done well before it was made apparent to us that the county was going to enter or have this financial crisis that they've had. So that building was not suitable for the sheriff. You can talk to them, they will tell you it was not suitable. It was not suitable for females who had like a closet. They didn't have modern locker room, and we actually have a very large number of female deputies now, which is great, and they need to be accommodated. So we honestly this was put into process many years ago. It's not something that we can just do overnight. The annual service audit, one new requirement of this contract is an annual review, so we will true up the cost of the contract at the end of every year. So if there's expenses that the county thought they would spend that they didn't, we would get a credit. And if something goes over budget, then we would pay, it's gonna net itself out. We will receive monthly updates, which is a new feature of this. And we do have a 3-year opt-out. So if the township decided they wanted to go on its own, we just have to give them a 3-year notice. And it will take at least 3 years to actually start your own department. But the county could also choose to end the agreement too. It's a 3-year notice for either side. The county does negotiate the collective bargaining agreement with the deputies. So even though we are paying the full cost of the deputies, they don't have any incentive to arbitrarily or recklessly increase the cost because they have multiple other bargaining units. And a lot of times with bargaining units, they look at what the other bargaining units get. So if they were to all of a sudden give all the police, 10% raises, that's going to create them a lot of problems in their other bargaining units. And if the county did egregiously raise our costs, we do have our opt-out ability. Or we could reduce or change the number of deputies in the contract. Businesses will pay the assessment. They make up 7% of our parcels and will pay 40% of the assessment. So they do pay a substantially a high portion of this assessment. We just have a lot more residences in the township, but they will pay 40% of the assessment. Why can't we utilize the reserves? This was another thing we talked about over the past few months. So a lot of our reserves are earmarked for certain things. So sewer funds have to go to sewer and water funds have to go to water. And we have used our reserves much more than I've ever used reserves anywhere I've been, honestly. So we've used 5 million to pay down the bank drain. We're going to use 2 million for this county's unfunded pension liability issues that we will get back over 10 years. And one of the problems is you could use reserves for 1 year, but that's exactly, quite frankly, what the county did. They kept using ARPA money that they got from the federal government during COVID and other things to balance their budget. And you cannot do that sustainably. But I do believe we have used our rainy day fund for the rain that has been pouring on us over the past 6 months. This was the comparison of communities. So the individual millages that communities pay, we're still on the very low end of our neighbors and how much they are charging. And a lot of those don't even have full-time police and fire. The ability to protest, we talked about last time as well. There's basically 2 areas of appeal that you shouldn't have been included in the district, but the district is the boundaries of the township. And that the amount isn't correct, but it's based on your taxable value. So those appeals have to be filed with the tax tribunal within 35 days of today. So if the board adopts the resolution today, the clock would start today. Next steps is adopting, the board will consider adopting it. And then if they do, or you do, it would be on, like I said, the winter 2025 taxes available for payment December 1st.
Thank you, Courtney. We are now to public comment. Again, remember, you will have 3 minutes to provide your public comment, and your comment is directed to the board. And if we could keep applause or any of that type of activity down for tonight, we'd really appreciate it. And when you come to the podium, please state your name and your address. First public comment, please.
Right.
We have a new doohickey, so if you hear a buzz, that means your time is up.
I promise to stick within the time limit. Well, good evening. My name is Dave Shatler. I live with my wife Betty on Hearthstone Way here in Delta Township. It's 8612 for the record. And I've been a Delta Township resident for approximately 38 years. By way of introduction, I'm an 84-year-old conservative Republican, both socially and fiscally. For those not familiar with that kind of an animal, what that means is I vote against virtually all rate increases, all special assessments, because they're generally just a method for my Democratic friends to spend our hard-earned money. Given that description, you will realize that coming here tonight with these comments I'm about to make did not come easily. Not without a lot of soul searching and introspection. I'm here tonight to give my Democratic board member friends, all of them are Democratic, by the way, a well-deserved thank you. You have done a hell of a job in dealing with this issue. You are presented with the problem, not of our making, made by someone else, by another entity. The financial crisis that our esteemed county elected officials put us in, well, maybe could have been forecast, it was a surprise, at least to me. The police patrol's very existence depends on what's going to happen tonight. In any event, the township board tackled this problem head on, looked at several possible directions for us to go. They ultimately chose the most fiscally responsible, not necessarily the cheapest, but the best solution, looking at the future needs of our township. One of the things that went a long way to winning me over was in their letter to the residents explaining the issue. They didn't resort to this phony, this will only cost the average homeowner $130. Instead, you chose the honest approach, and at the top of my letter was the amount it was going to cost Dave Shatler. So I'll wrap it up with, thank you. You guys did a good job handling this. You have my appreciation. Good show, folks.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Next public comment, please. Welcome. Please state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes to address the board.
My name is Pat Carlisle. My address is 1911 Stony Point Drive, Lansing. And what I'm here to say is, remember, years ago, they said no taxation without representation. And that's what you're doing. The voters voted against this millage. So you need to pay attention to what they voted against and either revise it or get something accommodating in the rest of the budget. Because if you want the police and fire, or just the police primarily right now, you need to accommodate it with other things. I've been in the township hall about 5 times in the last year. And there wasn't one time where I didn't see someone, an employee, playing games on their computer. And this has got to stop. We need to cut out the excess. Why are employees playing games on the computer when we're complaining we can't fund the police and fire? Okay. Meetings like this are costing everybody an outrageous amount of money. Why don't you just, okay, the people voted against it, find a way to deal with and find the money some other way. Okay, did that. Okay, oh, the other thing is we're wasting a lot of money right here with these public hearings. We just listen to what the people have to say about it and say, okay, we can't, the people don't want it. That's their voice. We'll abide by that. And that's all I've got to say.
Thank you so much, Pat. Next public comment, public speaker. Thank you. Please state your name and address and your 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Matt Richardson. I'm from 10382 Apple Blossom Lane. I disagree vehemently with your position. I find that you have decided to go against asking the residents what they really want. I find that your presentations saying that businesses are paying 40%, like, I think that's a lot of bull manure because they're not paying. 5525 West Saginaw is not on your list. 5505 West Saginaw is not on your list. That would be the Meyer supermarket store and the Lansing Mall. They are not on your list for being real properties in this township. And they're not paying a darn cent for any of this. I'm sorry, but when you lie to the people, that is wrong. That's just wrong. I object to inclusion of my property, which is inside of Delta Township by all of 150 yards. You're never going to send a township police officer to my house for protecting me. Because when in my neck of the woods, we hit what we aim at. And we don't shoot to disable. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Next public speaker. Good evening.
Well, that's a tough one to follow. Scott Lonier, 8415 Joe Pass. I told you guys a couple weeks ago when I was here that you were the talk of the town, and clearly I did not miss on that one either, just like that gentleman didn't miss. One thing I'd like to point out is I would like to thank Trustee Lyman for his comments last week or 2 weeks ago at the meeting. I had to go back and listen to it on YouTube because it caught me by surprise at first when they were speaking about the housing development over on Canal Road. He said, we had a lot of public comment that was against the pilot program. And I thought, my gosh, they do listen a little bit. They don't listen always, but they do listen a little bit. So they did hear public comment against the pilot program, but did they listen to what we had to say about it? And I will put this on record. My wife was here a couple of weeks ago. She spoke in favor of the police and this whole millage increase to go up. I personally, I am for it because if we don't have laws, we're a lawless society and we need somebody there to enforce them. And hopefully we do get what we pay for. My concern with it is we started at 3 mills, got shot down. 2 mills got shot down, and now we're going for half of what we originally asked for. Is this going to be just a Band-Aid on a bullet wound, or 5 years down the road when this runs out, are we going to need to come up with more mills in order for this? So I think that's something that we all need to think about long-term, how that's going to affect, not just this year. But I think one thing that we need to talk about too and think about as a community is all this taxation without representation, as somebody spoke about earlier. Over 40% of Delta Township is Republican and voted Republican, but yet we have no representation on our board whatsoever. And I think as citizens, we need to be the ones that take control and do something about that. And we can only do that at our next election. And speaking of our next election, we'll be in November, and I'm not sure if you guys are all aware of it or not, but right now we have $1.5 million that we're going to get increased for police. But this fall in November, there's going to be another half of that 0.75 mils that they want to charge us and make us pay for CATA, for the 10 people that use CATA. So when people think there's nothing going on in their election this November, pay attention to what's
Excuse me,
on the ballot this
if you guys
November.
can keep it
because you're
down,
gonna be
we
asked to
appreciate it.
pay-
Thank
You are
you.
going to be asked to pay another 0.75 mils for CATA transportation around Delta Township. Now, when you look at other places where there's CATA, there's not townships, there's cities. Wherever there's public transportation, it is cities, not townships. Delta Township, this is not Delta City. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Scott, need your address for the record.
845 Bill Pass.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Please, Anna, please.
If you want to speak about the special assessment, we're going to have public comment coming up real soon. But if you want to talk about the special assessment, please do come up.
I would like to speak about this special assessment. I also have separate public comment.
No problem. We're going to get a microphone over to you, okay?
Thank you. I would prefer to use that one. That would be, yeah.
Thank you. Please state your name and your address for us.
My name is George Robert Peter Hanley. My address is 943 House Lane, apartment number 5. I have lived in Delta Township now for almost 2 decades. I have been a beneficiary on multiple occasions of both the police and the fire paramedic service. In fact, they have twice in the recent months saved my life, as I had the misfortune of catching pneumonia twice in April and May. And I thank them very, very much for that. And so I thank you for handling this in the best way possible, which under these circumstances is all we can do. I also thank you for the continuing of the grant projects, especially the bridge trail, as that will also increase accessibility for all members of the community. I'll reserve my further comments for the full public comment. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
But I
George.
would implore everyone here for civility and dignity, please.
Thank you,
Thank you.
George. Thank you so much.
Thank you, George.
Public comment. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name and your address, and please address your comments to the board.
Regina Johnson, 4745 Omar Drive. I want to thank the board for listening to your taxpayers and your voters, because Delta Township has voted for the millage twice. It did not pass because of Out County. Delta passed it twice. And the 3 and 2 were for the total county, not just Delta Township. And also, I forgot the other thing I was going to say, but thank you for listening to your vote so that we did not have to have more stuff on the ballot, because we did not have to vote on this again, which is much more expensive than a meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Regina. Next public speaker, please state your name and your address.
My name is Crystal Jefferson. My address is 807 Weston Street. I have been in Delta Township for 17 years, and I see no need to get political, but I do not support it. That's my personal opinion, and I have voted that way every time as such. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Crystal, for your comments. Next public speaker. Is that you, Eda? This is Suttles. It's so good to see you.
What now?
It's good to see
So
all the
mic
down.
Can you pull your mic down for us, Eda?
Well, I guess I do
Okay.
need that down, don't I? Good evening. My name is Edith Suttles. I live at 3911
Barton Road, and I've lived in Delta Township since 1978. And I would like to say and confess that I was very angry when I got this notice. I live at the intersection of the new drain that's going in, and lucky me, one of 15 people who have to pay the largest amount of that assessment. So when I got the letter saying that I was going to be assessed for the cost of policing, I was really upset. I have since read the information, so when in doubt, read, and have changed my mind that this is not something that is the making of this board. The people we need to be angry with are the people representing us on the county level. They screwed up royally. They screwed up royally. And we, with good faith, built that wonderful facility to house our share of the policing. And they decided it wasn't important enough to fund. So I hope that we will expend some of this energy to contact our county officials who have failed us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Settle.
And I just quickly would like to concur the last few years with health problems. Our emergency teams have been courteous and on the spot with doing their job, and I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Welcome. Please state your name and your address, please.
My name is Corliss Bodell. I am hoarse right now. And I live at 6281 East St. Joe Highway. And when we had Drain 17 put in, I happened to be at that meeting at the time. And I was the one that asked, I said, how are we going to be assessed for this? And they said, by the amount of property you have. And I thought, oh, thank God, I've only got 3.5 acres. Everybody around me has got more. And then when I get the bill in the mail, it was the same as somebody that had 10 acres. So I called over to Snot, tried to talk to them about it. I said, I was at the meeting. This is what they told me. And now you're wanting me to pay the same amount as somebody that has 18 or has 10 acres. It didn't do me any good. I could talk till I was blue in the face and it didn't make any difference. And I had to end up paying it. So I'm not very happy about this. Because the thing is, I'll be 82 at the end of this month. And I think everybody, we're all stressed to the max. The price of everything is going up and up and up. And especially as a senior citizen, you don't get a raise, that's for sure. And the thing is, when I had also gone to Laughview, and somehow that came up when I was talking. I went there for something else, but something was said, and she said, you don't know the amount of people I'm hearing to get on the phone to pay for that train. You know, you're just robbing Peter to pay Paul. Just and it goes on on and on. As a senior citizen, I've been here since 74. And my husband is now deceased. But the thing is, what it's coming down to is that people in this world today are stressed every day on all the prices have come up. I mean, everything. And it came across my phone one day. Companies and corporations admit they are overcharging us, but they're doing it because they know they can. And somewhere they have to put a stamp to it because people, I mean, if they can't pay, you can't get blood from a turnip. And I'm telling you, it just gets worse. I never thought I would ever see, I'm going to be 82 on September 29th. I would ever see the United States of America shaped today. It's ridiculous. Almost like a third world country now. And the thing is, nobody is doing anything about what we have to pay. So every time we hear, okay, you gotta pay more here, you gotta pay more. You know what? There's only, like I said, you can't get blood from a turnip. And I think majority of the people are having a very hard time that I know of trying to meet their bills.
Thank you so much.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Mordat. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Dan Quina, 8311 Pass. I know this is a hearing about the 1.5 police millage, and I am in favor of that because I think it is a very necessary service. If we lose our police service, we lose a lot in this community. So I am in favor of that. What I'm not in favor of, though, is adding on the 0.75 for CATA. I know I've said these numbers and repeated these numbers, but I want them to sink in for those that have not been here and heard these numbers before. And I hope the board saw these numbers before they voted to put the 0.75 on the November ballot. I got these numbers directly from CATA, so these aren't phony numbers. These are the actual numbers. These are as of end of June 2025. To date, there were 99,571 riders on Route 3, the extension. Sounds like a pretty impressive number. You divide that by the 26 months, and you have an average of 3,829 riders a month on Route 3. Still sounds pretty good. However, there's 31 days in the month. So you divide that into 3,829 riders per month, and you have 124 riders per day. 124 per day. There's 33 times that bus goes up and down Marketplace Boulevard. That is an average of 3.75 passengers per 40 passenger bus, less than 10% capacity, going up and down 4 miles to the gallon, ruining our roads. I passed out pictures a couple of months ago of the trash, upside down trash cart or supermarket carts, prescription drug bottle across from Half Q that I took a picture of and gave it to the board. I'm just have some questions. Were you provided these numbers before deciding to place the 0.75 millage request before the voters in November? If you didn't get them, why didn't you get them? Number two, if you did see these numbers, how could you possibly conclude that the 0.75 millage request was needed or even wanted by the citizens of Delta Township? It's not too late to remove the request. I would urge you to remove that request in light of the fact that you're more than likely going to approve the 1.5 police millage, an additional 0.75 for CATA, which is unnecessary, and by these numbers, unneeded, is a bridge way too far. Take it off the ballot, please.
Thank you so much. Next public speaker, please state your name and your address for the record.
My name is Al Scheibel. I live at 501 Theo Avenue. I'm a new resident of Delta Township in 5 years. I lived in the city of Lansing all my life. Owned a business there, rental property, and a nice home. I was paying the tune of probably $12,000 to $15,000 a year in property taxes. And I told the city council, which I was president of the neighborhood association, I many times go to the city council and say, the amount of tax I'm paying, I should have a chauffeur-driven limousine, gold line streets, and brass band sing along with it. They didn't listen to me. Nobody's listened to us here. The fact is, if we do have a police station, 5 years ago, I moved to my home. People are going by speeding, passing each other, going 70 mile an hour. And they're still doing it. What's going to happen when we downsize the police department? Another thing is, Delta Township, in 1960, I was just a young guy. I'd come out here and this was farmland. All these new homes that have been built here and businesses and so forth, the taxes should cover stuff that we need right now. Somebody's got, in the old days, we used to call them cow factories, and the cows paid the taxes. Now we're the cash cows. And I'm tired of being a cash cow. I'll move out of this township because I was paying $4,500 a year taxes on my home when I left it 5 years ago. And now it's probably worth $7,000 a year. And now here I am, my taxes have more than doubled since I've lived in my home. And I can't stand to pay more taxes when I get less service. It's dangerous to drive down Saginaw Street. Where are the police cars at? I never see any lights on. And as far as the gentleman, the black man that was choked by a policeman, George Floyd, things changed a lot then. I hate that change. Police officers don't have no control. They're afraid to pull people over now. I know that. I've heard that from many policemen. We've got to change that attitude too, because it's just beyond call. Another thing is, safety-wise in this city or this township, trees are growing over the stop signs. When I grew up as a boy, our neighborhoods got our trees trimmed and the police were sitting on our street waiting to get parking tickets. They don't even get parking tickets out here. I'll bet you don't even write parking tickets here after 2 o'clock in the wintertime. That's a good example. Where'd all that go? Taxes are higher, more people are paying taxes in this township, more businesses. We got to figure this out. And you, as a board, should figure that out. Somebody's missing the boat. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, next speaker, please. Please state your name and your address.
My name is Harold Loisel, 11225 Carousel Drive, Grand Ledge, Nixon Hills subdivision. I'm here just to talk about the police force. In the 26 years that I have lived in my place, I have never seen so many cops, Eaton County Sheriff, in the last 5 days in the whole 26 years I've lived here. Carousel Drive, 2 police walking down the middle of the street Saturday. Their truck and their SUV blocking halfway. Don't know what's going on though, because in my neighborhood, people don't talk to each other. It's sad, but that's just the way it is. Sunday night, all of a sudden I'm going to let the cat in it's dark. Holy crap, there's flashing lights and cops all over the place on the corner of Carousel and Dixon. Sirens going off, bunch of kids running around. I thought, what is going on down there? Probably a party. Don't know because nobody talks. But anyways, I've drove 2 years for Auto Value delivering parts. In them 2 years, I never seen a sheriff on Saginaw Road, cop car. One time I seen an unmarked car had a car pulled over. That was it. If in the 2 years ever since they put that light in on Nixon and Saginaw, I've seen one sheriff parked there. Them people run that red light like it's, I could stop at that corner anytime and watch them coming down Saginaw. Light turns red, choo, right through they go. If they would start writing tickets for that, they could probably pay enough for their retirement. Seriously. Either that or they'd hire more cops, but it'd probably work for their retirement. But I'm just saying, how come all of a sudden the police are everywhere? Where in the last 26 years, you hardly ever saw them. But I kind of think it was a setup, but that's just me. So, thank you.
Thank you. Well, next speaker, please. Good evening. Please state your name and your address.
Virginia DeLuca, 8026 West Willow Highway, Grand Ledge, Michigan. I'm sort of a regular, I think sometimes, you know me, but I'm not for this. That's what I'm gonna say, one thing. And another thing I want to say, I want to talk about the police, right? I talked to one guy tonight and he told me he's gonna take care of it, but I live on Willow and it's one way now and no one obeys the law. They're going, tonight coming here, they snuck through and went the other way and turned into Redwood. And I've called many times, and also I've asked, since it started April 7th, for another sign to say 35 miles an hour, and I have not seen that sign up yet. Maybe that's not your job, but I've been here many times, and they said they will take care of it and get that sign up, and you know I have been, yeah, and I've not seen the sign up yet. So I don't know where that sign is, and they said they were gonna put a sign there to say how fast they're going. I mean, it's very dangerous going on Willow. I can barely get on my driveway. And I would like to see more signs up. If this is gonna be here until November, we need more. And he promised me he was going to patrol it a little more. And I did see a few cops there this weekend. They did stop a couple of people, so I thank you for that. But but I'm not for this, but just want to give that to say that I was here and I'm just waiting for the signs to go up since April. Thank you.
Virginia. Next speaker, please. Hi, please state your name and your address.
My name is Jim Webster. I live at 1115 North Christ Road. I have 48 years in the criminal justice system. I'm pro-police, but I'm also looking at what I've learned about doing process. I've been on both sides of contract negotiations. And what I see is you had timelines that you knew prior to the contract date. You would have had to do historical data, comparable cities, surpluses, increases, and you should have been able to negotiate with the county at an advantage instead of a disadvantage. And what I see here is the cost is being put on us where maybe the cost should be put in some other place. I did a query of the AI, if you ever talk to the AI, and he says your options, quote unquote, was surplus, the assessment, or cutting some other departments. That was the three that an AI came up with. I thought that was pretty interesting. Also, I did some search based on your population. What is your citizen population? The average number of police officers per 1,000 is 2.5. So that comes out, you need at a shift relief factor of 8-hour shifts, 83 officers to handle all what you're having in the county right now. If the influx population doubles, which it does in a given day, according to AI, you need a lot more officers. The reason why your average for accidents a year in Delta Township is 1,252 accidents a year in Delta Township. That is a lot of accidents. The University of Michigan study years ago, to which I've used before, said that PD, PI, and fatals actually cost the people here more money than crime, if you look at the total numbers involved. The only way to attack your traffic problem is proactive enforcement. You don't have the deputies for doing it. So I would suggest you start looking at grants for cams to put in your traffic lights, because that's usually where all your major accidents are going to happen, up and down Saginaw, with your speed and the traffic. The other day I was riding my bicycle down Saginaw, Mall Drive, Saginaw, major accident. Couple ambulances, couple of rigs, couple fire, sheriff departments. As a resource manager, that's cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. So when you're looking at doing your budgets and planning, and you're looking at taking on the county, or you're looking at increasing your police force, you have to use data-based decisions. I've seen that as a problem in assessing the people more right now.
Thank you so much, Mr. Webster. Our next speaker, please state your name and your address.
Yep, my name is Vincent Joseph, 4328 Marmore Drive. Yeah, I'm back here. I was here last month speaking against this. I'm speaking again, shouting into the void. I mean, you guys have given up the game going into this a long time ago. You are going to pass this. I would like to see somebody at least try to speak for at least some of the people here, their conscience, and I would like to see, one nay. but that's just, it's not gonna happen. And I think the theme this month is just, where is the sheriff? And I think that's where a lot of the frustration comes from. I haven't been here as long as a lot of people here. I've been here for maybe 5 years, but again, a gentleman said it earlier. The most I've seen the sheriff was around over the last 2 years when the proposal was on the ballot. And it was clear, it came from the county, get out there on the publicity tour, try to, be visible. And then what happened when they failed both times? Nothing, they've gone into the wind again. But it is what it is. It's a cowardly act by the board here to just slap it on us, although I'm happy that somebody has done the research and did look up the precinct voting records. And yes, the township did probably pass it. I think it was, let's just say roughly 45 yes to no. But again, it's just disappointment. And at the end of the day, an increase annually of $180, maybe $200 a year is a small price to pay for flying up and down Willow and Saginaw, because hey, let's face it, they're not out there, they're not writing tickets. So why not join them? Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Next speaker, please.
Hi, I'm Deborah Karas, 7445 Cabot Court. My husband and I moved over here from St. John's in a nice home, in a nice subdivision, 4 years ago. And we moved into a condo. We do not have public streets, they're private. We pay for the condo associations to do the snow plowing and all that. But I guess I don't understand, I don't agree with this either. Our 2024 tax bill has 18 line items on it for taxes, and you guys just keep adding more and more. We can't, we're both retired, we live on our social security and some savings. We can't keep just eating all these costs. And we're paying at least double, almost triple what we were paying in St. John's, and we don't have any better service. So I just think that, and then also, is this just a one-time thing, or are you gonna do this every year? I don't know the answer to that. But again, I'm very against it. I think you guys just keep taxing us more and more instead of looking for other ways to cut costs. And we can't live like that. So thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Next speaker.
Hi there.
Hi.
Name is Susan. I live on 11233 Carousel Drive. And I moved here 11 years ago, and the taxes have been outrageous ever since I lived here. It just you keep adding more property tax every year. And it's getting to the point where we see people moving out of our area, which is kind of sad. This is, I've always been very proud of being a part of Delta Township. What I don't understand is the county voted it down. I think you should honor that. I don't understand why or how a township can't honor what the voters have said in Eaton County. I'm having a hard time with that. And I just feel that this is, believe me, I'm all for the 2-1 or, the 911 and that type of thing, but to put it on us, I really think that anybody that's in business knows that you need to look within your departments, within your organizations, to try to find other ways before you put it on to your customer or on to the other people that live here. And I just feel, I don't think that that's happened. And so I haven't heard a really good reason why this is being assessed to us. Because clearly the county denied, we voted it, the county voted it down. So it should be honored based on all the townships that sit within the Eaton County area. So that's what I feel.
Thank you, Susan. Next public speaker. Please come, state your name and your address.
Bill Kaiser, 419 Kenway Drive, here in Lansing. I've been down here for 32 some years. Anyway, I'm a real estate investor, so I have a lot of taxes. And what I see on my taxes It's going to raise my taxes another $107.59. Okay, that's because the value of this particular house is what it's assessed at. On my tax bill, and the lady explained it, our taxes are going to Eaton County. Our actual, I wish I'd have brought mine with me, but when you look at the line items on your tax bill, it says Eaton County General Fund. So you're taking the money here in Delta Township, but you're not paying Eaton County? Is that the way I see it? Because you're raising everybody's taxes. I don't understand. That's all I have.
Thank you for your comments. Any other public comments? If there are any others, please come on down. Please state your name and your address.
Hey, y'all. My name is Larry. I live at 6667 Halloway Lane, Lansing, or Delta Township. About 10-15 years ago, another bill came up and another public hearing came up. And it's what I now am the future or the present viewer of the Delta Township racetrack, where easily you could be making $1,000 to $2,000 per day on racers. The racetrack is between Canal and Kreitz. It's called Michigan Avenue. It is an unmarked road that the Eaton County and the Delta Township police officers are rarely ever on, catching people doing 80, 100, 120, 150 miles an hour drag racing. And there's never a cop car around. And so it would be so nice to see all of our tax expenses fully covered by the people who have chosen to race on the road that's named after Delta Township Racetrack. So if we're talking about safety, if we're talking about having more police represent us, they're not representing us on our public road that you all put in our back pocket of $3.7 million to have that racetrack. That's what I have to share. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Joan Annis. I live at 1012 Robbins Road. And I would just like to say I'm against this. The taxes in this community have skyrocketed since I've lived here since 2004. You are taxing people right out of the county. And it's a shame. I mean, you've seen people crying. Retired people have had to take jobs to support this. Please do not vote for this assessment. I'm asking you, do not vote for this assessment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next speaker. And if there's anyone else that wants to speak, please come on up and be prepared to speak. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kathy Pike, 1900 Stony Point Drive. And I came here tonight to simply say thank you for something I witnessed on Elmwood the other day while school was getting out and children were walking home. And a patrol car was pulling someone over. I'm sorry that was one of you. I'm assuming there was a ticket given. And I was hoping to say thank you for making sure our children are kept safe on their walks home. I also, and pass this on to Eaton County, I also appreciate that we have a resource officer at our high school and in Waverly. And I would hate to see him lost. And I know it's a hardship to pay more, but I too think you have come up with a creative solution for this, because, you know, when we see the news and we talk about kids, I was a teacher. It's not if anymore, it's when. When will it be my school? And we have to acknowledge that. And we have to be ready. And we need the police to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next speaker.
My name is Sherry Ritchie. I live at 1206 Brookside Drive.
Yes.
I'm not going to express yay or nay on the assessment, but I want to point this out. I've been taking a tally of all the comments given tonight. And my count was six folks are in favor of the tax assessment. And I think I came up with 12 that are against it. And there were 3 or 4, maybe 5 people that commented that I wasn't sure what their stance was on it. But that's what I wanted to point out regarding what's been heard tonight. 7 yays, 12 nays. I also wanted to mention that I talked with a lot of friends and neighbors around the township about what goes on here with the trustees, and I encourage people to come to the meetings and be involved in their community and in their government and what's happening to their lives and their homes and around them. And you know what most people tell me? They don't want to bother coming to the meetings because they feel that whatever they say is not going to be heard anyway. So they don't come. That's very sad, I think, on their part. I'm not blaming you for that. I'm blaming them for that. But there's a lot of people that don't come here, that should come here because they should speak their mind, but they don't. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Next speaker, and if there's anyone else that wants to speak, please get in line so that.
How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
John Teckington, 209 Round Top Road. You can see this across my chest, so I do know the values here. I just want to caution you because I have to go around the city and sell, and I do sell Delta Township. But if you continue to increase the taxes, you're going to drive people out of Delta Township. As we've heard a few people mention. Okay, so if you increase your tax amount and the tax, because I look at the tax estimator weekly, multiple times, and we do have a fairly good tax rate, but if we continue to increase it and slide in other taxes, you're going to drive people out of Delta Township, which is not what you want to do, because that's going to decrease your property values, which will then lower your tax amounts. The other part is, I'm drawing a blank here. I guess we'll just go with that, but I'm not for it. I don't really think if you have a budget in place, as a real estate agent, I have so much money to deal with advertising and things like that. If I can't meet that, I cut it. So what I have not heard is, where are we cutting the budget? Anywhere? What departments have you made cuts at? And I'm very familiar with the banker drain because I just dealt with it on a house sale. Very familiar with that. I also know that you received a $5 million grant from the state and you put $5 million in it, but the majority is being paid by the taxpayers over a 30-year assessment. So I just want to know what cuts are you going to make over the next couple of years, or cut back on your departments to save the people money instead of driving people out of the township, which you will. I'm just telling you, I have been seeing I sell everywhere, and that's what drives people out. So that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next public comment, and if there's anyone else that wants to speak, please come on down so that we can keep you guys going here.
Hi, I'm Denise Barnstead. I'm at 13700 North River Highway. My niece is a Lansing police officer. I understand the problems that the police have. She arrests someone, he bails out. She arrests them again, he bails out. There's no consequences. They continue. This is double dipping. Why aren't we throwing the book at these people in the first place? This is a bigger problem than just funding the police. Also, I'd be interested to know, among the police, the ranks, how many are patrolling? How many are lieutenants and sergeants and are sitting in an office opposed to out on the road? And I don't know if I can get those figures somewhere, if it's published. I'd be curious to see those. I do appreciate the police and what they do for us, but I think there's such a a much bigger problem than increasing our taxes for them to be on the road.
Thank you so much. Not seeing any more movement, we are going to close the public comment for our closest public hearing. And at this point, we are going to, I am seeking a motion to adopt the resolution number 2. Is there a motion? Is there a motion? Or no? Yeah. Trustee Bowen?
I move that the Delta Township Board adopt the resolution to set, no, I think I got the wrong one here.
Yeah, you were fine.
Sorry.
Mhm.
There's no motion that I
Is there no-
find.
No motion. I have one here. No, I will state it. Oh, you have it, Josh?
Yeah, page 30. The Township Board adopt the resolution to set the 2025 Public Safety Special Assessment District Assessment Rule.
That's it. Thank you. It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion at this time? Treasurer Fedewa.
Thank you. I just want to assure everybody that we do listen. And I understand how conflicted people can be, and trust me, I feel conflicted as well. None of us on this board wanted to be put in this position, not one of us. But we were dealt a really bad hand. And we had a pretty benevolent relationship with Eaton County and the contract that we had before them. And they were facing their own financial issues that they had to come to terms with. Just like we have to come to terms with our financial issues as well. And so it was pretty obvious that the old agreement was going to have to change. And in order to maintain what I feel personally, the minimum required amount of police officers in this township, the board decided that we would enter into an agreement for the requisite amount of officers, including all the overhead, not just in personnel, but also in infrastructure as well. All those costs add up. So the decision of the board is, do we have police protection or don't we? And what do our residents come to expect? I would suspect that people would be pretty upset if they did not have police protection in any shape, manner, or form. And I think all of us, that would not make our township safer. It would not help our real estate. People would not want to move here because of potential crime rate. And we can't let that happen. We have a very, very good, solid township here and a community. So as I said before, we have taken a hard decision here. We are absorbing much of the cost of this new contract amount. And we are at a position where we have to ask the residents to contribute as well an additional amount. It's not the entire amount. It's just a portion of. So we're making cutbacks. That was delineated by our finance director earlier in this meeting. So, you know, we've looked at this very, very thoroughly and hard. And we are also against a very, very strict time constraint as well. So what do we do? So we negotiated, we agreed as what we thought the minimum required police protection was required for the safety and security of this township. And we proposed that for the public and had public hearings. I understand the conflict that people have. I had do as well, as maybe some other board members do. I'm assured that they would do as well too. But we're at this position that we have to make a decision. So given that, it's the decision that we have to think about the health and safety of this township as a whole and its future and the immediate need today. And that's why I will be voting for this. And I think it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Fedewa. Any other discussion, comment? Or discussion? Yes.
I just want to make one clarification for the board that it was mentioned that Lansing Mall and Meyer were not on the assessment roll. That is wrong. They are on there. So Lansing Mall is on Their proposed assessment is 9,700, and Meyer, all their property is close to 100,000 in assessment. So just to clarify that.
Thank you, Manager Reed. Any other discussions? If not, we'll have a roll call vote, please. Clerk.
Trustee Bowen,
Yes.
Lyman,
Aye.
trustee Cascarella,
Yes.
trustee Mohica,
Yes.
treasurer Fedor,
Yes.
clerk Clark is yes, supervisor Brewer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
That motion carries. We are now going to move on with our agenda. We are at communications. There is one piece of communication, which is an update on the Senior and Activity Center project, and it's a good one. So if you haven't had an opportunity to read it, please do so. Next on our agenda is public comments. We're back to public comments. So you have an opportunity to come to the podium once again and state your comments. You have 3 minutes. Yes.
Thanks, please.
Yes, you certainly may. Please do. We're gonna let him go, Keith, real quick. Or Scott. You can just stand right there. He's just gonna speak first.
I have to go at a certain point because of my transportation, which is a point, that involves this. My name is George Hanley, 943 House Lane, Delta Township. I've been here for many years at this point. I will say for a fact that there are 12 residents in my building alone, all which at some point have used Cata Spectran, which is a whole other aspect of Cata. So there is Cata Spectran, there is Route 3, there is the Ready Rides, there is Route 12, which goes out to the West Campus, which is in a boon to not just Delta, but the entire area. There is also what this millage could also pay for at the township's decision and nobody else's. Tran and whatever other transportational aid decisions you make. It is not the Cata Delta millage, it is the Delta transportation millage. So if whoever's going to cherry pick numbers, be honest about how you're doing and don't just cherry pick and ignore everything else. Because it is insulting and demeaning to everyone, and to say that there's only 10 riders is just appalling. Because there's a massive amount of riders on just the connectors. And that's not even counting the connectors that E-Tran and both use to Charlotte, which I have used for work, but by the way. And to Grand Ledge, which if our loss would be a hell of a thing to get going again, and our as a boom both to Delta and to the aforementioned cities. So in addition to watching all the development happen for the last almost 20 years, I would hate to see everything go. And I've also worked and studied at the West Campus of LCC, which is also here. So please, if you're gonna try to add on those villages, just the kind of thing that's just plain wrong and slandering too, and don't try to nitpick it as 10 writers, whatever, and just don't let them get away with it either. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment.
We're very fruit.
Thank you.
Scott Lonier, 8415 Doe Pass. I was looking at the board packet today and going through the senior center. And it just kind of caught my curiosity a little bit that we currently have a senior enrichment center. And I know we're supposed to address the board, but I'd be curious to the public out here, how many seniors?
Excuse me,
know
no,
of the
we're
senior
not gonna do
enrichment
that.
center?
We are not,
And
we're not gonna do
and
that.
How many people have
Sorry.
ever used it that are current in this room? So it's gonna lead me to my next question. Is this something that's necessary? One. Two, is this something that's gonna cost the township taxpayers money that we don't have a say-so in once again? Is this gonna be a self-funding thing? Is it gonna be a granted thing? What is gonna sustain this new enrichment center that I'm gonna guess there's gonna have to be hundreds of thousands of dollars poured into for the infrastructure, for the infrastructure inside, as well as the sewer sanitary system and all the other stuff that's gonna come along with it? Is this gonna be another thing that the Senior Enrichment Center, well, it looks good, sounds good. How much is it getting used? And are we ultimately gonna be up here again, having to go through this whole fiasco of trying to figure out why we've got to pay for something that barely gets used by the majority of the residents in the township?
Thank you so much. Next speaker, please.
Regina Johnson, 4745 Omar Drive. I remember the rest of what I wanted to say. Some of it is that when you present some of this, if you would tell the people that businesses were going to leave because they couldn't get insurance and that they should check with their insurance agent, because when areas do not have police coverage, your insurance goes up substantially if they give it to you at all. And also on the police stuff, I noticed Wednesday going by, and I hadn't been paying attention to the news, that there was a bigger police presence at the high school and junior high when they were getting out. And it wasn't everybody in cars. The officers were on foot with people at areas of entrance and ingress and egress. And it was when I got home and saw the news that suddenly dawned on me why they might have been there. And don't know, but some of our rural areas, the school systems, probably did not have extra coverage because there is no sheriff's department out there.
Thank you so much. Any other public comment? Public comment.
I guess I did Virginia Toluca, 8026 West Willow Highway, Grand Ledge, Michigan. I didn't know about the senior center, but I think I'm sort of against it because I'm in a lot of groups for seniors and I get emails every month about where you can go. We can go over to the Elizabeth Street Library. They do bingo 3 times a week. They have lunches on Tuesday and Thursday. There's a lot of things for seniors. And there's another one, it's called Seniors. It's another lady, she gives me it. So there are places for seniors to go. So if we have these places, why don't we use them now and advertise them more, or let the seniors know about them? They can go and it's free, doesn't, they do give you lunch and everything. So I don't think we need to spend any more money.
Thank you so much.
Dan Quinn at 8311 Don't Pass. I won't bore you with the numbers again. But certainly if you look at those numbers, and I hope the board did look at those, because I'm not sure if you did look at them, how you could conclude that CATA Route 3 is necessary. And if you didn't look at them, that's a dereliction, okay? So now that this 1.5 is passed, if the 0.75 passes, people can figure on adding another 50% to their tax bill that they got about the 1.5 on the hearing tonight. Another 50% addition on top of what's on that. I wish the board would please consider taking the CATA millage off. It's not needed. The grant was fine. Okay, it didn't work. It did not work. Please reconsider and take the 0.75 off the ballot for November. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, that concludes public comment for tonight. We are down to the consent agenda where we have already identified pulling number 8 off, and we will address that separately.
I move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Support. It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Cascarella,
Yes.
trustee Lyman,
Aye.
trustee Mohica,
Yes.
trustee Bowen.
Yes.
Treasurer Fedewa.
Yes.
Clerk Clark is yes, supervisor Brewer.
Yes. That
Carried.
motion passes. The consent agenda has been approved with the amendment of removing number 8 or moving number 8 Hawk Meadow Park down to the next area that we are going to have discussed. So I'm going to turn to you, Josh, because you had a question about
Thank you.
Hawk Meadow Park.
Yeah, so back in May, we had discussed prioritizing a lot of these projects, and since we haven't done it yet as a board, I just want to be able to vote on it because I don't think we should be doing that until we actually decide what is a priority for the public. It was after a discussion on expenditures with the bank strain and everything like that, so
Thank you.
thank you.
Is there a motion to move this forward?
I move that the Delta Township Board accept the bid from MWT LLC for the Hawk Meadow Park Perimeter Pathway Project in the amount of $478,481 contingent upon Eagle approvals and concurrent with the professional wetland delineation. I further move that funding an amount not to exceed $600,000 be allocated for the project and that the township manager be authorized and directed to execute the construction contract documents and any other necessary contract documents to support the construction of the aforementioned project under the recommended allocated budget.
Thank you. It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Yes, I'm sorry.
I just want to reiterate that these grant dollars were allocated a long time ago. We were planning on doing this. We just want to do it and get it done. And we don't want to hurt our ability to apply for and get approved for grant monies in the future.
You took the words right out of my mouth. All right, any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. We are now down to the two new items of business that we have. And here comes Peter. He's going to walk us through quickly through both of these quickly. So the first one is a special land use permit, item number 10. Peter, the floor is yours.
I appreciate the floor. Good evening, everyone. My name is Peter Menser. I'm the Planning and Economic Development Director for Delta Township. I spent the day on the phone with several businesses looking to relocate to Delta Township, open businesses, expand. This is one of them. So we have this request is a special land use permit request from the Meyer distribution facility on South Kreitz Road. It's an approximate 300-acre facility that spans the length of South Kreitz Road. If you've ever driven down South Kreitz Road, you see Meyer and you drive for several blocks and you still are looking at Meyer. So this is that facility. On the site is a part of what Meyer does in addition to shipping goods all over the country is at the facility here in South Kreitz, they have they operate and maintain their own vehicle maintenance facility. So there is currently a facility on the site. It's about 46,000 square feet. They are looking to add another facility to keep up with the growth that Meyer is experiencing and to keep up with the fleet that they have. So the special land use permit would be to approve that use. It's required our zoning ordinance classifies it as a vehicle repair facility and it is subject to special land use permit approval. So this proposal is a new 20,000 square foot building. It is adjacent to the existing facility. And if you don't mind for 1 second, I'd like to share my screen, which has been pre-approved, just to show the area a little bit better, because it's not something that us regular folks can get to very easily. Can folks see, yeah, if you don't mind turning that on. This will just take a second. But worth it. Okay, so I've got Google Earth pulled up here on the screen. So on what we're looking at here at the very top of the screen is Mount Hope Road. So as you go south on Mount Hope, you'll see this starts the Meyer facility and it goes and goes and goes. So as we get down here to kind of the last part, Millet Highway actually dead ends moving east into the Meyer distribution facility. So I'm going to zoom a little bit. So this is where Millet Highway dead ends into the site. Most people that drive in here, you can't go any further than this. It's security gates blocked. I couldn't go any further than that. But I wanted to call attention to this building here with the black roof. This is the current facility, the vehicle repair facility. They are proposing to, and have already received site plan approval to move these trucks that are here, and they will move south into a new area here. There's a big open shed that's being demolished and they're putting parking in this whole area. That was done under an administrative site plan review application, and now the new application is to where in that void is now to construct the new building. So that would be in this general area. So parking is provided by this public lot or employee lot that serves the employees that work in this area. The proposal otherwise meets the standards for our zoning ordinance. There is a motion. Oh, the Planning Commission held its public hearing last Monday evening. They recommended approval of this proposal. And they also approved the site plan review for this, which is now with our township staff. So there's a motion in your packet. Might you consider approving the special land use permit for this project?
Thank you, Peter. Is there a motion? Trustee Cascarella.
I move that the Delta Township Board of Trustees approve the special land use permit request from Colliers Engineering and Design to establish a vehicle repair facility at 3309 South Kreitz Road, parcel 040-026-300-031-00, subject to the 6 conditions of approval in our packet.
Thank you. Is there support?
I'll support, but I have a question.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. Discussion?
Peter, is this, well, gone.
Oh.
Is this an expansion of the building or is it going to be a separate freestanding?
It's a new freestanding building,
So
just
it-
adjacent to
So
the
it
other.
has full tax value because
Correct.
thank you.
Question. Any other questions?
I just want to make the comment that I'm glad to see that Meyer is expanding and that they feel safe to do so because we will have fully funded police protection, and this also raises more money for our tax base.
Thank you so much for that. Not hearing any other discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Peter, number 11.
Thank you. The next request is a special land use permit application to convert an existing attached garage on a single-family residential home on Willow Highway into an accessory dwelling unit. So the proposal is to convert the garage that's there now into a unit for, I believe it's a mother-in-law to live in the home. And then the applicant actually coincidentally, or along with this project that does not need approval, would be building a garage in front of this unit. So just a little background on accessory dwelling units. In Delta Township, they are required to be attached. So these are wholly separate units. But in Delta Township, they're required to be physically attached to the building. So often what we are seeing are units within a home or maybe in addition to a home. We do not permit at this time a detached structure. So in some municipalities, like in Ann Arbor, you'll see a second smaller dwelling that's either in a backyard or a rear yard. We do not have that at this time. So the proposal is for the attached to convert a portion of the existing home into an attached, or excuse me, into an accessory dwelling unit. The home is located on Willow Highway. It is actually the third property from the western boundary of the township, so barely in the township. And we do require the special land use permit for this specific type of request. Just a couple quick notes on the motion and the conditions. So this is a somewhat unique land use for the township, and it's kind of hard to, I guess, ideally to be able to track. So our ordinance requires that it has to be interior, which is easy to see. But then further that it can only be used by family members. A little harder for us in planning and zoning to be sure of. And then that it be only occupied by a certain number of people. So, I mean, I've worked here long enough and worked in other communities around we usually are able to hear the rumor mill usually gets to me before a complaint or anything. So we do have eyes on the street to be able to track some of this stuff, but I did include in the conditions, a couple conditions that are intended to, so when we put conditions on a special land use permit, they have to be intended to ensure that this project will meet the tenets of our ordinance. So what I've got in here is, and you've seen this on a couple other of the ADUs that we've done in the last year, a requirement that prior to getting a certificate of occupancy for the unit, the applicant adds a restriction to their deed. And that's intended to ensure that future buyers are aware of the status of the ADU and so that they know that it's there and what the limitations are and that it is only for family. There is nothing stopping a buyer, if this person were to sell the home in 5 years, there's nothing stopping a buyer or to buy this home and use the ADU as an extension, as another bedroom, another kitchen, an extension of the family, if they have enough people in the family to use it that way. It just can't be rented out to a third party, a non-blood relative. So you'll see there's a condition reflecting that. And typically the way we do that is I just have an approval letter that we record on their deed for them just to make it easier. And then we have the other restrictions like no more than, that the ADU can't be occupied by more than 3 persons. And that they have to be occupied by persons related to the owner.
Okay, thank you, Peter.
So, let me know if you have any questions. The owner is here as well, if you have any questions for him.
First of all, is there a motion for this one? Trustee Bowen.
I move that the Delta Township Board of Trustees approve the special land use permit request from Around To It Services Incorporated to establish an accessory dwelling unit at 6117 Willow Highway, subject to the following conditions of approval, of which there are 8 listed in our packet.
Thank you. Is there support?
Support.
Been moved and supported by trustee Lyman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
We are now to the manager's report.
Thank you Supervisor Brewer and board members. At the last meeting, I was asked to provide an update on Willow. So we had put out an update recently, but as of right now, both lanes are open from Nixon to Broadbent. And it is still only eastbound traffic from Broadbent to Canal, likely to be that way for the next several weeks, at least till the end of September. But they are working hard to try to get that project done. We did experience some delays in the beginning due to poor soils in terms of boring pipe. So they are right now in the process of boring under the freeway. So we are getting closer and then they'll follow behind with restoration to the road and that type of thing. So stay tuned. We have given some extra attention to that area as Ms. DeLuca had mentioned and has called several times. We have had some traffic related items there, but we have had extra deputies in that area also, as she mentioned. So another project that's getting close to completion is Sharp Park. If you haven't been by there, it's getting very close. So that one is going to be wrapping up in the next several weeks. I sit on the Michigan Municipal League Municipal Finance Committee. I just wanted to bring to your attention, and I'll send out a link to this, but the My Home program. So this is a partnership that the Michigan Municipal League is pushing with the state. And they're kind of deeming this partnership over preemption. So trying to work with the state rather than preempting locals. Trying to provide a list of things that local governments can do to help push forward housing initiatives, and in return have the state invest approximately $160 million annually to help with 4 different targeted housing programs and to promote new housing throughout the state. So very interesting. I do like this. I do like this program and the fact that it's a partnership and not just pushing the responsibility onto locals. So working together with the state. Lastly, I'd just like to thank the board for their perseverance over the last few months. Very hard, difficult issues. I just want to really thank our staff for all of their ideas and support. It's hearing public comments regarding, being able to access information and have their questions answered. I really have to give credit to all of our staff across different departments. for, you know, really putting themselves in our residents' shoes of what questions they've been asking or what they might want to know, and finding a lot of different ways to distribute that information. So I know that there's still some opposition, but I think, I'm very, pleased with how well, we were able to get information out on that. And I give all the credit to our staff across the board on that. So, and I thank you for all of, your ideas and questions along the way. So really, appreciate, that through a very difficult, few months. That's all I have, but happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Manager Reed, and to the team that you are blessed to work with each and every day with Township. Any questions or comments for Manager Reed? Okay, hearing none, we are to board member committee reports. Are there any reports from board members on any committees that you serve on? Not hearing any, we are to the committee of a whole. And tonight's discussion, and there's no voting on it, it's just a discussion, a quick discussion on the board and commission's appointment policy. So I will let Manager Reed kind of introduce that, and then if there's any comments, we'll take comments. This is not a voting night on this. It's just for us to hear what the ideas are, and this will come back before the board at another time.
Absolutely. So, you know, as the memo states, we brought forward some revisions to the appointments of board and commissions policy back in March. The board accepted those, and then, we had an amendment proposed by Treasurer Fedowa, to have rotating chairs. That was subsequently, passed, but, there's a procedural question. So we're bringing this back to the board as requested, for discussion. If, want to, put this on for adoption at the next meeting with, Treasurer Fedowa's language. I did mention in my memo, possibly some additional language to, if there's not somebody willing to step up and serve, if there's not the desire for rotating, that the current chair can continue to serve if there was nobody willing. But that's just a suggestion for the board to consider. But otherwise, I leave the rest of the policy to the board for discussion, and if ready to move forward and bring it back.
Thank you, Trustee Pascarella.
Yeah, just a couple thoughts. I don't know if it needs to be spelled out in the policy, or might just be helpful to understand what intentions are, but is the expectation that with this on a rotating basis, that it would be an individual who serves on a board or a commission could only serve as chair for 1 year, 1 term? And I'm not even certain on, I guess, on all of our commissions and boards, if they have similar terms and in that, I just would strongly encourage, I don't know if it would be annually. I think that kind of turnover is actually far more disruptive and you lose value. It takes a little time for individuals who step up into those roles to kind of learn that, because there's a lot that comes with it. And so I think there's value in them not just immediately turning over. So I don't, and I appreciate like some consideration. I think it makes sense. There are some folks that, we struggle to sometimes to have public resident interest in serving in some of these roles. And some individuals, are happy to serve, but not comfortable chairing for a variety of reasons. And so I think that flexibility to allow, at least, even if it's not concurrent term, someone to come back into that role if needed. And if that board or commission shows that support for that person to be in the role, but I understand the value in rotating, and allowing others opportunity. I just want to make sure, we're making sure that cadence is appropriate, not to lose benefit of those individuals serving.
Thank you.
I think Dennis.
Oh, Treasurer Fedowa?
Yeah, I passed out a synopsis, basically what I believe are the benefits of rotating officers and improved governance. And I'll let board members read that for yourself, but now, from my understanding, we have at least 2 boards, commissions that have in their bylaws or state law that they have rotating officers. And that is the Planning Commission and the Corridor Improvement Authority. I don't know, maybe Peter can answer this, but I don't believe that there's any requirement that every single member of those commission or board member has to serve as an officer. It just says it can't be the same one. So, you know, my thought is that it's not to require every member of a board or commission to serve as a secretary, as the treasurer, as the chair. But it just cannot be the same person in perpetuity. And there's a couple examples that we already have in our boards and commissions where that is transpiring. So I don't think that the assumption that every person who is reluctant to serve as a chair is forced to do so. Not at all. It's just, it could be just whoever wants to, but it could be a toggle, you know, back and forth, for example, if there's only a few people that are interested in doing that. I think there is very valid reasons to encourage our boards and commissions to have those people act in those roles. You know, it's a training session. It's a skill development. It's training future leaders. You know, we're not all going to be on this board forever. And I just think it's a misconception that every single member has to actually rotate in to be a secretary, a treasurer, and or a chair. That's not occurring in our 2 standing boards and commissions that have that process in place now. And it wouldn't be if we were to require it for our other boards and commissions as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk Clark?
I didn't get an opportunity to participate in the original discussion on this concept. But I somewhat am troubled by the implication that our boards and commissions don't get to speak or put new ideas on the table or thoughts unless they sit in the chair's seat, which is really a very incorrect assumption and presentation. I'm concerned about some of the ideas that are posted here. I think we've had boards and commissions that have been extremely active and done phenomenal things when there has been a repeat chair. I personally don't believe that we have a problem with the way we function now, and I think that definitely I feel that not everyone has any interest in being a chair, as the secretary, and I would not want any misconstruing that you have to do that, which might shy someone away from applying to be on a board because that's not what they're comfortable doing. I think all different kinds of personalities bring lots of different perspectives to the board, and you don't have to be the chair to bring a perspective. So when this comes up, I don't read in here that it is an option. I mean, maybe someone can tell me what page. Well, they don't have numbers. Can show me where it indicates that this is a recommendation for how to do business in a board and a commission, but every board and commission elects, those members elect their leadership each year. It's the township. I don't want anyone to think the township is telling someone who is going to be their board or commission chair. The members of those, every one of the commissions elect their own leadership. And I personally like to respect what our boards and commissions are doing and how they, as long as they're complying with the law, how they're operating. So I have concerns.
Okay. And I would just like to say, thank you for the conversation, that the dialogue that's happening. I feel similar that our boards, they conduct themselves fairly well. And I think that there should be some independence at the boards to decide things like the tenure of their leadership and how that leadership will take place for that board. I would not be comfortable in making a mandate from this table on how those boards and commissions will operate when it comes to leadership. I think what Trustee Cascarelli said is very valid in my mind. It may take a little more than a year to gel in such positions. And I think that they ought to set their own road, their own path on how they want to operate on their board with regards to leadership. Okay. Any other comments? This is a discussion. This is not any action tonight. It will come back to us when we're ready to make some decisions. I have Trustee Bowen and then hands down.
Okay, I have two questions. Do all of our commissions have regular elections for their leadership?
I don't know that they all do. Brian or Peter? I don't know. I'm turning to Peter. Peter doesn't oversee every board, but quite a few of them.
Yes.
They do.
I defer to Manager Reed if he wants to, but the four I work with all each year elect from their members, depending on the board or commission, the officer positions.
And how many officer positions are there in the commission?
They vary for each one, but typically there's a chair, maybe a vice chair, and either a secretary or treasurer, depending on what it is.
Okay, so if we did put this language into the policy, we would want to address that and say, chair and any other positions, because I noticed it just mentioned chair. Okay, so, we want to make sure that people do have regular elections. So then, yeah, my other question was, what about the offices other than the chair? Well, what if we specified, 2 years for officers and suggested that they, have regular elections, even if someone is reelected chair, to give other people the opportunity to run if they want to.
Thank you.
Instead of saying they shall rotate, we could say they shall have elections, and then they get to decide whether they want to rotate leadership or not.
Well, thank you, Trustee Bowen.
Yeah.
Comments down here?
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to cut you off.
Nope, that's it.
Yeah, thanks. My intent here is really try to promote good governance. That's all it is. And I'm not saying that people don't contribute if they're not an officer. Some do, some don't. I'm just saying as an expectation or a desire of the board to have our citizen appointees engaged in their role as a commissioner, as a authority member, for example. It just encourages participation, diversity of thought, diversity in people. to actually then be a part of the leadership, albeit temporarily for usually a year, in that role. And it's not forcing it on anybody. And I don't think we have to say shall necessarily. We can say encourage, for example. It's for all the right reasons. I mean, if it's good enough for two of our major commissions and authorities in this township, why isn't it just as good for the rest? And that's not saying they're dysfunctional, but I don't think they're as functional as they could be if there was actually more participation and a encouragement for that to happen. So I would suggest that maybe the board look at that. But of course, if it ain't broken, why fix it? I suggest to you that I think it is broken because we've had a chair of various committees that have been for over a decade. More than one. So I do think it should be encouraged at a minimum. And I would like, the board's consideration in that regard. I do have some other issues regarding the language of this thing that don't pertain to appointments or the election of officers. So when we're done with that, I'd like to address that.
Tonight, you want to address it
Yeah,
tonight?
because if it's going to come back before us, I just want to make note that.
Yeah, is there anything else in the appointments that you?
Just wanted to make that final statement.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Anything else with regards to appointments?
Not appointments, though.
That's what we're covering. That's on the agenda tonight, appointments and,
Oh, it's the whole policy, isn't it?
that's what I'm saying. Do you have other things within the policy?
Right.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay, it's the new language at the bottom. It's removal of board and commission members.
What's the section?
It's the very last sections. This is new language. It's item 2, the township board will consider the removal. There's a typo there. So that should be corrected. But the real concern I have is with item 3. The township board will consider the removal of an officer or any commission member who has been found to have knowingly and willfully violated township policies or who have been found to have knowingly and willfully engaged in any act or conduct that has detrimental effect on the successful functioning of the board or commission of which they are a member. That is pretty vague language. And I just don't know if that would not stand up, I don't think, in any court of law having such vague language like that. So I'd like the board for us to talk about what constitutes a violation and who makes that determination. It's not even prescribed in here of who makes that determination. Ultimately, it's a recommendation by the supervisor to make the appointment and it's approved by the board as a whole. So who makes the decision for the removal of that member? And is there a due process factor involved in that member has a right to come before and respond to those concerns, either in a private meeting, a closed session, or in an open meeting? So that's the concern I have with that.
Yeah, so it sounds to me that you're concerned about the process that goes with it.
Right.
So maybe not so much that this is here, but what is the process?
Well, it's also what's
addressing
the
it?
criteria.
Yes.
I mean, you can't list out every potential infraction. I understand that, but it would be a propensity of an agreement of what a reasonable person test would be amongst all the 7 board members in agreement. So, but there is no due process and there is no determination of who makes that determination and what due process there is for a response to, such an allegation.
We can turn that over to administration to Brian. Is that something you guys could? Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Oh, yeah.
Before we turn it over to him. Do boards and commissions sign the ethics policy that
They should.
every staff and board member supposedly
They should.
is signing?
Aren't they supposed to be signing that?
Yes, they're supposed to, yes.
Those
Yeah.
things are what we'd be holding them accountable
Right.
for, obviously.
Okay, I just wanted to say, and maybe we could wrap in here a violation of the township ethics policy. You know, something
Yeah,
like
because it
that.
would really
Would
be,
that help, Dennis?
that's the recourse.
Well, it just can't be an allegation, it has to be substantiated, and it could be beyond the ethics policy. It could be other behaviors beside that. Who knows? If there's going to be, look, this is like an adjudication in essence. And so if there's an allegation of misconduct that is detrimental to their performance on that board or commission, then there has to be a finding of fact, and then, and then who makes that decision? And yes, that is a violation of that. Who's making that decision? The board as a whole? Who's presenting that? Is it an open session? Is it a closed session? I think we need to think about this. That's all.
Trustee Coscarelli?
Yeah, on those points, that Treasurer Fida was raised, just a bigger question on the policy. I don't know if we oftentimes will look at what some other communities have done and either use that word for word, or that's a basis, and then we tweak as deemed appropriate for Delta. But was this, and I don't know if MML MTA has kind of model language, but I don't know where all this came from, and if there was some source of that nature, and if not, maybe we can inquire, especially to make sure we're covered on legal issues, if there's about removal of a person, if someone's one of those entities or some other community has language that's kind of been already vetted in that regard that we could just mimic. It seems appropriate.
Thank you. Yeah, I would think so. I'll turn that over to Manager Reed to research that.
Sure.
Okay, and whenever you're ready, it will come back to us to review and vote on at that time. Cool beans. All right. Very good. We are now down to public comments, our last public comment of the evening. If you would like to come up and say anything, you have 3 minutes to do so. Seeing no movement, is there any other board business for tonight? If not, we are adjourned.